Hey, this is Brenda Hipsher with the ILFORD blog. Today we got something really special for you. We've got a video interview by Skype with Jeff Lazell down in New York City. Jeff, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, no problem. Glad to be here.
Now, I heard from a little birdie that you've been using one of our new papers called Smooth High Gloss. Is that right?
Yeah, it's my current favorite paper. I
Now,
got it a week ago.
yeah, a week ago. Wow.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so you got this much excitement after a week.
About like a day. I stayed as soon as I got it. I stayed late about an hour or two in the studio just printing, and yeah, I felt like college again, being able to print like that. It really, yeah, I love it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
Now, it's really funny that we call it paper because it's not paper at all.
Right. There's no paper in it at all.
That's right. It is a film base, and it's reminiscent of Cibachrome or Ilfochrome. Did you work in either of those two mediums?
I actually didn't very much, but I have helped. I've dealt with them in the past, handling them mostly. But yeah,
You're
it reminds me a lot of those.
you're a little young to have worked in that medium.
Yeah, I think you got me
Yeah.
there.
I think a lot of us who worked in those mediums really see the Cibachrome, Ilfochrome influence there. So tell me what it is about. We'll just continue to call it paper, smooth high
Yeah,
gloss.
that's probably
ILFORD Gallery Prestige Smooth High Gloss is the official name because we couldn't make it any longer. We really did try. So tell me what it is about smooth high gloss that really sends you.
well. I guess the number one that made me fall in love with it right away is that it really preserves lumosity in a way that I've never seen like a printed medium do. Like being able to kind of bring the depth that having a backlit image on a monitor has, and being able to like replicate this that close in a print is just like astounding to me. Like you don't there's really no flattening, and then people in my studio, the first thing they said when they saw it is that it almost feels like you can reach into the image. Like it really gives it this like depth, and there's a glow, and it's not it doesn't make its own glow. It replicates what you have done. Like it really is very, very close to what you can see on a monitor, which in modern digital is kind of what you're going for. What you lose when you print, you don't really lose from with a smooth high gloss.
Well, that's pretty amazing. That's pretty high praise.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I've worked with metallic papers in the past to kind of get that sort of look. But the thing is, when you work with metallic creates its own lumosity because the metal's all the way through it, and it's doing what the paper wants, not what you want. And smooth high gloss, being that it's not a metallic per se, really is closer to what you did on the monitor. Like it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't go any places you don't want it to go, I guess is a good way of putting it.
Now, I know you're really concerned about this monitor to print match because you and I have had some discussions in the past about how much you rely on calibration and profile monitors with
Very much
X-Rite
so.
tools and so forth. So this is really an important point that you can get what you see on the monitor.
Yeah, I mean, and also especially with like a lot of more modern digital techniques like the HDR and a lot of like plugins we use, like you get a look that you really like, and so much is that is based on the monitor that it's tough sometimes when you get just the way you want it after putting all these filters and blendings and stuff like that. And then yeah, there is a bit of loss. There's always a bit of loss when you go to paper, but smooth high gloss, it's the best I've seen.
So tell us a little bit about your photography, Jeff.
Oh, sure. I guess most recently I've been shooting what's referred to, I guess, as like urban exploration and stuff like that. I've mostly been interested in like abandoned buildings and industrial sites and stuff like that. And more recently, I've just become kind of enamored with the HDR process. Like I know that HDR gets a little bit of flack among older photographers and more conservative photographers, but I think the key is really just doing it right. So I've spent the last couple of years kind of creating a blend of softwares and filters and stuff like that to get the look I want without getting that sort of too overcooked look. Because you're in very weird lighting situations, and I think that that's very important to the feeling of the building is that sort of ambient sort of light. And so I've been using HDR and other sort of HDR-like processes to kind of bring that back to my own work. And then, of course, texture, HDR and texture, and then rust and rotting wood and peeling paint, all that stuff. I just love it.
So you really do need to have that depth, that almost 3D look for that.
Right, right, especially because like when I first started with HDR, and I think a lot of people main complaints about HDR is if you overuse it, it flattens everything.
Yeah.
It really does become, it looks kind of like a painting, which is a cool look, but yeah, it's not the same. And so you kind of have to really like finesse that sort of stuff to make it not all come down to one plane and tonally. And then, like I said before, getting that sort of feeling to transfer from a monitor to paper was really difficult at first. And it was kind of hard to deal with when I first started doing this work, because you just kind of had to come to terms with the fact that your image only lives on a monitor. You know,
Yeah.
like it kind of like your image lives on the internet. Like you can't really take it anywhere else because everything you're doing is digital. And so
Yeah, and more photographers I'm talking to, Jeff, are talking about there's sort of a revival of the print these days. There's a real revival of the idea that the photograph is not complete until it makes it to a print you can hold in your hand.
right. No, yeah, I agree. I totally agree. That was, like I said, it was very tough for me, like coming to terms with like, oh, now I have this image that I really love, and I can't really get it. Like I can't go that next step. And so that's partly why I said I was so excited about Smooth High Gloss, because it was finally allowing me to keep going. And yeah, it's really pairs well with modern sort of I guess trends, will we call them?
Trends, yes, that's what we call them. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, styles, trends,
Yeah.
fashion, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on where you are. Where are you, man?
Oh, I'm in the basement of Fred Marcus. Oh yeah, behind me you can see about 20 years of negatives. That's all behind me there, and then I'm surrounded by printers and monitors. This is kind of the dungeon of Fred Marcus, where the servers and the printers and the retouching and all that goes on. So yeah, there's a lot going on behind
So
me.
Fred Marcus Photography is a large photo studio in New York City that's been in business for a very, very long time with
We're going on 70 years. I
Right.
think that's what we're saying. Maybe we might be rounding up by about a year, but yes, 70 years.
so Andy Marcus and Brian Marcus, his son, are now the principals there. So you work at Fred Marcus Studios.
Yeah, I'm going on, speaking of time, I'm going on my 7th year at Fred Marcus.
Oh, wow.
I'm at their team doing production and IT and digital file management. And I don't know if you can hear like a whirring around me.
Oh yeah, we hear it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually our new server that I got put in this year. That was my yearly project. So yeah, you're hearing our new 9 terabyte server whirring next to me.
A 9 terabyte server whirring and all those files of negatives in the background. Boy, that is just the perfect picture of.
That is about, I would say, a quarter of it. On the other side of the camera, we have a whole room that is that over and over again. We have about 20, 30 years of negatives that we store down here. So it's
That's
a lot.
absolutely incredible, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I mean, this was where you can see behind me. I don't know if you, oh, you can. So you can see the stuff in the ceiling. That was the original studio where Fred Marcus himself shot. So they started in the basement where I am right now. And so that was the curtain they would pull around when he would shoot portraits, is that track above me. And so now we're 3 floors. We have the basement, the first floor, and then our studio is on the 2nd floor. So they've expanded a lot. But yeah, this was the dark room. This was the studio. This is the oldest part of Fred Marcus right now where I sit.
So you're the absolute connection between the past in photography and the present.
I guess, yeah, installing a 9 terabyte server in what used to be a dark room is kind of a very good
That's a way cool thing.
painting of where the photo industry has been and where it's going. So.
And then taking it full circle, talking about a film-based paper that you can now get the look of a monitor. Boy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, listen, it's incredible. It's just incredible. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us today. We certainly do appreciate your time. And so all of you folks out there who are looking at your monitor and looking at your HDR photographs and looking at your photographs that have the depth in them on your screen, go get yourself some ILFORD Gallery Prestige Smooth High Gloss. And we're calling it paper, but it's actually a film. It'll give you a look and a depth right here, according to Jeff, that you can't get anywhere else.
You'll be astounded. You will.
Thanks a lot.